Hey guys, so new lesson, new day. Let's get started on chapter 9, lesson 5. So this lesson here, or excuse me, this chapter has 8 lessons in it. So we're already on lesson 5, moving somewhat quickly considering what's going on right now. And just know there is going to be a quiz or a test coming up because my goal is to get through another one of these lessons this week. So chapter 9, lesson 5, completing the square, part 1. There's going to be a second part, another video over this week. This is a very dense lesson, one that you're going to use whenever you get to high school. So I want to make sure that we know what we're doing. I want to break it down and kind of just go step by step with it. So let's get through the first half of this lesson right now. Let's get going. So first, standard form. ax squared plus bx plus c. We should all be familiar with standard form by now. Standard form is what we have used every lesson in chapter 9. The first set of problems that we're going to work with today, we want to be able to find what this c is in standard form. So they give you a numeric value for a, they give you a numeric value for b, and you need to find c. Well, you can find c by using this equation here. You take whatever that value is for b, you divide it by 2, and then you square it, whatever number you get. And that's going to tell you what c is equal to. So I already went through and I've already done a couple problems for you. Make sure to get these in your notes. Very kind of simple with this. So, number 1, I have the equation x squared minus 16x plus c. Again, I'm trying to find c. So I want to take b, and b, that includes the negative 16, because that's my sign for the 16. So I'm taking negative 16 divided by 2, and I'm squaring it. So negative 16 divided by 2 is 8. You square 8, 64. Number 2, you have x squared plus 20x plus c. Again, I'm taking my b. Your b is always going to be the middle term. It's also going to be the one where x is just an x. It's not an x squared like we see with a. So 20 is my b. When you fill this in, guys, you're not filling in 20x, you're just filling in 20. Because I just want to know what number goes with c. Also notice in standard form, you don't have a variable with c. So I'm just pulling out what that number is for b. So 20 divided by 2 is 10. Square it, 100. So c is equal to 100. And if you were to rewrite this out, you would just replace 100 with c, and there's your equation. Number 3, x squared plus 17x plus c. Same thing like we did on numbers 1 and 2. Take b, it's 17, divide that by 2. 8.5, take 8.5 squared, 72.25. Very repetitive. So this was kind of the opener to this lesson here. You wanted to go find c by using this formula here. c is equal to b divided by 2 squared. Now, moving into kind of actual solving. So this time I wanted to solve for x squared plus bx plus c. The same kind of form as standard form that we've been working with. So let's start out with number 4. Let's start out with a problem that's already set up in the x squared plus bx plus c format. So I have x squared minus 14x plus 16. Now whenever we complete the square, I need to get a new c. I need to get this originally in the form ax squared plus bx. And that be it on the left side. So your first step always needs to be move c to the other side. Well, how can I get c to the other side? In order to do so, I need to subtract it. So I have minus 16. So I have x squared minus 14x is equal to negative 16. So there's my new equation that I'm working with. Now, I need to find c. I need a new c. And there's a reason we're doing this. I need to find c. So if I have x squared minus 14x, I want to find what c is. Well, just like what we did up top here, by using our formula, c equals b divided by 2 squared. So on number 4, what is b? b is negative 14. So what's negative 14 divided by 2? Negative 7. Negative 7 squared is 49. So I have plus 49. You cannot just add 49 to one side and not add it to the other. So I need to also add 49 to the right side as well. So I'm going to take negative 16 plus 49. And that's going to give me 33. So right now I have x squared minus 14x plus 49 equals 33. My next step is I need to factor the left side of my equation here. Guys, the reason that we moved that 16 over and we found a new c was so that we could complete the square. We could come up with a quantity squared for whenever this trinomial is broken down. Whenever you do factor this, you should end up with x minus 7 squared. So all I did was break down this x squared minus 14x plus 49. And when doing so, again, you're looking for two quantities. Well, I have x squared. So the only way to get an x squared is an x and an x. I need what two numbers multiplied give 49, and when they're added together give me negative 14. That's going to be a negative 7. So x minus 7, the same thing as x minus 7 squared. This is what you should aim to get halfway through your problem with every single one of these. You should end up with some quantity squared. And again, this is equal to 33. Now, I need to get x by itself. We should end up with two answers for x. And that's because the x is squared. Anytime you have any equation or any expression, and whatever the highest degree is, whatever the highest power is, that tells you how many solutions there are. So if I come over to my calculator, it's kind of blind the light out of it a little bit, and I type this into y equals. There's that equation that you guys just worked with. That's the original equation. If I graph it, you can see how it touches the x-axis at two spots. It crosses almost here at 0, 0, and another spot just a little bit to the right. Now, I had to make my graph a little larger because it fills up more than just the basic window, but this is what the overall picture of the graph looks like, and that shows how I have two solutions on the x-axis. So now I'm going to come over back to my equation. So again, I'm looking for two things that equal x. So I need to get x by itself. The first thing I need to do is I need to get rid of this squared symbol. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides to get rid of my square symbol. So I'm going to end up with x minus 7 is equal to, well, whenever I take the square root of 33, it actually turned into either a positive or a negative. So it's going to be plus or minus the square root of 33. To kind of help with our problem, we're going to approximate what the square root of 33 is. So if I come over to my calculator and I type in second square root symbol 33, looks like I get 5.74. We'll go to two decimal spots. So this is going to be equal to x minus 7 equals plus minus 5.74. And what this means is, guys, I can take 5.74, this decimal, I can take this really long decimal right here, and I can square the positive version of it and get 33, or I can square the negative version of it and also get 33, and that's because a negative times a negative will give you a positive. So the fact that we can take both a positive and a negative of this 5.744562,647, the fact that we can square both a positive and negative version of that number to get 33 is why we have a plus or minus with our square root. And this is where our second solution is going to come into play. When you get this far in your work, I think it's a good idea to separate things out. So x minus 7 is equal to 5.74, and we also have x minus 7 is equal to negative 5.74. And now I need to solve both sides of my equation. To solve both of them, I'm going to add 7. When you add 7, you do 5.74 plus 7, you get x is equal to 12.74. And on the other side, when you do negative 5.74 plus 7, you get 1.26. So my two solutions to this problem are both of these x equals. And again, the reason we have two solutions is because we have x squared. Let's look at number 5. And let's see if maybe going through this one, it might help any confusion that maybe you might have with it. So again, first step, I need to move my original c to the other side. So by moving it, I get x squared plus 9x equals negative 15. It's not always going to be negative. If this 15 was positive, or excuse me, if this 15 was negative, I would add it over and it would make a positive 15. Now I need to find my new c. And I find it so I can get this x minus 7 squared. I can get this quantity for this problem. So this time I'm going to have x squared plus 9x. b divided by 2 is 4.5. Squared is 20.25. So plus 20.25. And this equals negative 15. And your last step, again, make sure that you add that 20.25 to both sides. So I need to make sure that I add 20.25 to both sides. Which means we're going to have on the other side 5.25. Let me get rid of this here. That is the one step it always gets me on. There we go. So this is what your equation should look like. Now I need to factor it. So I'm looking for two quantities here. So we're going to factor it. And I'm going to break this one, guys, into two parentheses just because we're working with a decimal. It's going to get a little difficult with it. So I know x in x is going to give me x squared. I've got two positives, so I know my inside symbol has to be a plus. Now I'm looking for what two numbers, when multiplied, give me 20.25, and what two numbers, when added together, give me 9. Okay, like I was saying with this problem, guys, we have x squared plus 9x plus 20.25 equals 5.25. And again, we're breaking it apart into we're factoring, it's what we're doing. X and x, x squared. Now what two numbers multiplied give you 20.25, added together give you 9. Now I want you to stop right here. I'm going to tell you right now, this problem is one you will not have one this difficult on homework or on a test. To be honest with you, this is my fault, and I should have looked ahead on it and saw what it came out to be. If I would have known, I wouldn't have probably done this problem. But when you do break this one down, and again, use this more, guys, as some learning to kind of understand the steps in how these are solved. So when you do solve this one out, it actually comes out to be 4.5. So 4.5 times 4.5 gives you 20.25. Add them together, they give you 9. So, again, if we look at the steps with this one, you have that quantity squared equal to 5.25. I want to square root, get rid of my square. I'm looking to get x by itself. So x plus 4.5 is equal to, again, it's a plus or minus. Take the square root of 5.25. You're going to get 2.29. I'm just going to leave it there. Now, break them apart. X plus 4.5 is equal to 2.29. Same thing. X plus 4.5 is equal to negative 2. Oh, it's running off my paper. 2.29. Solving. I'm going to have to subtract by 4.5 on both sides. X equals 2.29 minus 4.5, negative 2.21. And I also get x is equal to negative 2.29 minus 4.5, negative 6.79. And those are your two solutions. And again, I don't want you to panic. You're not going to have one that you have to factor with like this on any homework or test. Know the steps. There's a lot here. There's a bunch here in both of these. Guys, your homework. Get these notes down. Your homework is to know how to solve the steps on completing the square types of problems and how to get your two x equals. Notice they're identical the way we went about them. If you needed some reference for this, I got all of this off of page 577 in your book. We'll pick up part 2 tomorrow. Thanks, guys.